All right there. Thank you for staying with us. It's good to have you back. Now, Nigeria's persistent battle with inflation has reignited, with headline inflation standing at 32.7% in September on petrol price hike, marking a sharp reversal from the 2-month decline witnessed earlier. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, consumer price index increased to 32.7% in September from 32.15% in August 2024. In the same vein, month-on-month inflation for September 2024 went up 0.30% to 2.52% from percentage recorded in August 2024. Well, we see clearly again that state governors have started implementing the payment of the new minimum wage of 70,000. Some are paying more, like Lagos and some other states. The Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Dignity Finance and Investment Limited, Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, is live in the studio. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. It's good to see you in Abuja.
Yeah, it's good to see you in Abuja too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Yes, I think it's good to start with the fallout of the NESG, which you also were you're part of it, at least some sessions, major sessions at that event. Yeah. Let's look at the monetary policy aspect. Yes, I think we should start with that conversation that happened with monetary policy, looking at some of the moves by government and all. What is your assessment presently? We have a stabilization bill that has also been submitted on the fiscal side by Taiwo Edele Committee to support all these moves by government to address the fallout of subsidy removal. Do you think that are we moving on the right direction or the right track?
Whether we are making efforts, we are making efforts.
Okay.
And are we moving in the right direction? Yes, we are moving. And the direction is looking positive. Unfortunately, a lot of other factors are working against that movement that is supposed to be positive. While we are working on monetary policy, a lot of actions have been taken in that direction. We also know that the fiscal policy is working towards supporting the monetary policy, and we have seen a lot of it with Taiwo's committee. And that committee has worked so hard. Yes. They have spoken to pressmen, to government, to practitioners, and just to get everybody's buy-in. Yes. And they also played a very major role at the National Economic Summit Group. So we see that the intentions of government are positive. But you know, other factors, like I said, other factors. Because the monetary policy decisions have actually been working hard towards reducing certain situations of inflation.
Yes.
And of course, you saw the kind of aggressive tightening that happened initially, yes. And then started easing off towards the end. But with other factors, like I said, happening around the fiscal policy, and in fact the other sectors, we are finding it difficult to have good control of inflation rate. In fact, all the countries of the world, or most of the countries of the world that started having inflation issues, inflation rate hikes, are beginning to ease off gradually, yes. Both in Africa and the rest of the world. Yes. But ours still remains as high as we don't expect to be, just because of the other factors that I mentioned. The factors, the FX rates, with the factors like the petroleum pricing rates, and these are all the factors that are just affecting us, which are not experienced by these other countries that are easing off their own inflation rate. So we need to look at all the factors right now that are affecting our rates and you know, affecting the prices in the market, in order for us to bring the inflation rate low. Otherwise, efforts have been made to bring it low, but with the recent petroleum pricing and other factors, and of course the exchange rate that still remains up there, we probably will find it a little difficult to bring it down to where we used to be, somewhere around the single-digit figure. We achieved single-digit in those days. We can actually get there if we work very hard to get it there.
working very hard to get there. Well, let's look at the speech by the Vice President of the World Bank. Yes, that speech. Everyone, while it was on, everyone made comments, and you know, mixed reactions trailed that speech. And I have it here: Nigeria needs to stay the course on reforms for at least 10 years to see enduring results. It seems like a hard truth, but he has said it. But considering Nigeria's Nigerian factor here, how do you see us managing through, and what do you make of this speech?
From the point of view of World Bank, we expected that they would speak like that. World Bank has always supported reforms. They want to always see every country that they have relationship with to be viable and to be able to pay out their debts as easily as possible. So in their interest, what World Bank wants is just for the country to have enough revenue base to be able to handle a lot of economic issues. So they believe that with the reforms, with the kind of reforms happening, the government of Nigeria will continue to make money. Of course, they reeled out figures to show that we are beginning to generate more now than we used to generate before. And we can fund transactions today because of the exchange rate, unification, and many other things that are happening. And the removal of fuel subsidy. Remember that with fuel subsidy, we used to take a whole chunk of funds to pay for the subsidy.
It seems like it's gone totally now. Sorry, I had to just. It looks like it.
At least, yes.
It looks like it.
It is, of course, right now they are giving us the impression that the prices of petroleum products are, remaining with the forces of demand and supply. Yes,
demand and supply.
So we want to believe that it should go, and that is just why World Bank is saying, when you remove it, channel that funds towards a whole lot of things. We also saw their country director that said, of course, that we have made more money as a country because of the removal of subsidy, and of course, channeling the funds into some other areas of growth of the government, which was expatiated by also the finance minister to say where the funds were going into and things like that. So I don't believe we have to stay up to 10 years. I don't believe we have to start with 10 years. We are doing the right things with the reforms, but what Nigerians want and what I think we should do is to have a very good balance between having to reform the federal government and having to make sure that the pains are not felt so much by the citizens of Nigeria. The next thing I need to also say is the fact that most of the efforts are coming from the federal government. I don't see all those efforts coming from the subnational government. Did you? I don't know if you saw any particular governor of any state at the Economic Summit Group.
And it's strange.
Oh,
it
yes.
used to be like that.
So it was. I wouldn't know why they were not there. And so these decisions that are taken by the federal government should actually dovetail into the states and who are going to run with those decisions. And of course, take their own decisions to suit whatever program we have at the federal level. So these are some of the things I see that are not adding up.
Indeed, not adding up. Again, in that speech, let market determine exchange rate. Of course, we've talked about that. Keep public debt sustainable. These are very important things. And President Bola Tinubu, the last time he was talking about debt service, now at about 67, 68%. It used to be about 90-something%. That was really pretty sad. Let's look at these inflation figures that we even started with in the first place. Now, many said it was expected, particularly because of the price of petrol, right?
Yes.
So you agree with that fact?
I agree completely. Because I can tell you what some Nigerians did was immediately that price of petrol increased, they went into the market to buy major food items, knowing that the prices were going to go high. So these prices have actually started going high. But what I know, and from experience I have in this country, is that before you know it, I just told you I just came back from Lagos. I saw that the roads were very free. Traffic was just not there anymore. So road in Lagos free, and so people could just move around. But I just told the
now
driver,
looking like Abuja.
No,
because the roads are free here.
Oh yeah, always free in Abuja.
Yes, yes.
But what I know is that once Nigerians get slightly used to the new fuel price, everybody will come back to the road again. They will come back to the road somehow. But of course, that also comes to where we are talking about CNG, which we just finished discussing. If everybody could embrace CNG, and especially if we have the best, the very good technology to be able to install them, I think it's going to be helpful a lot to reduce the burden and the cost of moving around. So these are some of the palliatives that are going to reduce the burden of the high price of petroleum products.
I think I agree, because I also saw that, I think it was on the social media, where a driver from Lagos to Ibadan, and he compared the amount he used with CNG. It's everywhere. It's gone viral. So clearly there is something about it, just that we should be properly installed, proper kits used, and all of that. I think that is what Nigerians need to get, and they would understand that if that happens. Yes, still talking about our economy now, making account allocation for oil revenues fully and gainfully transparent. I think that is also very important, because many have talked about this crude oil for Naira thing, and some analysts like you, Dr. Ekechukwu, says it's just going to help reduce pressure on the dollars, not necessarily going to change the price of petrol. I don't know how you want to react to that.
We have always been worried around the lack of transparency in that industry. Too many things are happening. First of all, we don't even have people who have good knowledge of how oil transactions are done, and who buys what, and what volume of oil sold to who, and all that. We don't have the record. But even if we don't have the record as the public of Nigeria, there should be certain departments of government and certain places where monitoring can take place. And for us to be able to say, to the last volume of production, yes, we know we produce this size, and to the last cover, we know we sold this amount. We don't have that yet. To worsen it also is the fact that we don't know the portion that is stolen from the pipeline. We don't know the portion that is taken away by some joint venture people and things like that. So I think we need to get into using technology. I saw that happening in one of the oil producing countries, where technology could tell you to the last couple what we are producing and what we are selling. We need to invest in technology and see how best we can use that to monitor our inflows, our revenue base, and things like that. And we need to also ensure that whatever thing we're doing locally, to do everything to stop importation of petroleum products, so that we can continue to buy and sell our own products. If we do that, it's going to reduce the pressure on these petroleum products. Because if we refine our crude and decide to give it the price we say we should give it, we decide to give it the price, we say, okay, in order to form a little bit of palliative measure, let us even sell our crude oil to the local refinery at a far reduced, you won't call it, yes, it sounds like subsidy.
Another subsidy.
It's not, but it's not. It is not. You know, in my own assessment of this. Okay. So if we produce certain volumes of crude oil, we say, okay, this size, this percentage we are sending out as export, this percentage we are using for local refining, and we just give it to the local refinery companies, and then they refine at a particular rate. Reduce rate. Once we have those things sold to them at reduced rates, they will actually sell to Nigerians at reduced rates. So we can actually use that method to reduce the petroleum pricing and not allow the entire transactions to be dependent on demand and supply and international price of crude oil. So that's what can be done. Yeah,
that's big. That's huge. Yeah. But let's see how that plays up. Now, during the coming years, the World Bank has advised Nigerian government and leaders and policymakers to prioritize non-oil sector growth. Doc, for years you've been a guest on this program and we've been talking non-oil, but we seem not to get that significant returns from that segment of the economy. We have the AFCFTA, which we are supposed to explore. Right. Is it not going to be like another AGOA that we kept talking about and didn't get the positives of it?
It's very worrisome. Today, we have maybe an office somewhere at the Ministry of Trade talking about AFCTA program.
Yes.
We have had seminars, we have had conferences concerning those. But as a Nigerian, as an economist also, I have not seen the activities of the government and various governments of Africa. However, some African countries have taken advantage of that. I know that a lot is happening around Morocco. You know, it was mentioned.
Yes.
I know somebody mentioned it just within the week also, that Morocco is one of the largest exporters of automobiles today. You will not believe it. So they are beginning to take advantage. And that was just why they even wanted to become part of ECOWAS. If you remember, at that time, they wanted to be, and we were wondering, why do these people want to be ECOWAS when within their geographical location, they are not within West Africa. So there is something that's going on. Some countries have taken advantage of that, and they are already running with it. So we need to be decisive on what we want to achieve with that. Nigerian governments should, African presidents and governments should know that doing business with one another will benefit us more than waiting until we import things from Europe and Europe exports to us. Europe permanently, or let me call the Western world, they permanently would not want this kind of intra-Africa trade, because that would reduce their own transactions with Africa. So if we know that fact, we need to work together as a team to benefit ourselves. I usually will give example with copper that Zambia produces as the largest producers of copper in the world. But today, most of the wires we do that are actually made of copper, we buy the copper from Europe after they had imported from Zambia. Those are the things that we want to change, so that we need to grow, have more bilateral air service agreements with many African countries and shipping lines with African countries, so that we can easily ship things and fly to any African country we want to go to so easily. That will help us a great deal. That
will really help us a great deal. Now, almost finally on this same write-up, it's an interesting write-up. You agree with me?
That's right.
You know, helping vulnerable households cope with high inflation. I think you've talked around that too. But thirdly, making the economy business friendly. You know, we've talked about ease of doing business.
That's right.
We talk many times about PEBEC, and they come up with their figures and what they've been doing and all. But how attractive is Nigerian economy in your understanding, Dr. Ekechukwu?
I can tell you a few times I've said PEBEC put in a lot of efforts. Ease of doing business is still on paper.
It is?
Yes, it is on paper, because the first things you will see when you even come to our airports will just be the inconveniences of the airport, the people working there, the way they will just be seeking gratifications from you,
and some cases,
and all those things. So honestly, we need to get it right, and some African countries are really getting it right.
They are.
I can tell you, a few things are happening around Botswana. A few things are happening around Burundi. You wouldn't believe that. Burundi is just putting themselves together just to be one heavy business climate that everybody will be coming to. Botswana is already running. They are ahead of many other countries. And so we need to be serious about what we preach. And for us to be serious about what we preach in ease of doing business, we need to take them one after the other. We may not be able to achieve all of it at the same time.
Yes.
So what do we want to achieve? First of all, cleanse the entire system of the kind of people and the attitude of people who work in our airports. First of all, the balancing aspect of it. Then make sure that people who want to do business in this place are finding some things to look up to make them come here. Some kinds of, probably even the fiscal measures to say, if you come in here to do business, you're not going to pay this, you're not going to pay that. Some countries are doing that. We need to also look at some of those. But ease of doing business is still not that, because the infrastructure to make it work is still not there. The road infrastructure, the power infrastructure, you know, we still don't have that. So when we're talking about the ease, it should be so that people should come and plug and play.
Plug and play.
We cannot plug and play. You have to go dig dig and dig before you even start doing business in Nigeria. A situation where people who already do business are closing down, meaning that we need to be very specific about what we want to achieve and take it very seriously.
Indeed, we need to take this very seriously. Let's wrap up this conversation with the expectation moving forward. Do you think, let's just do a guess now, let me put you on the spot. Do you think inflation will continue on this trend? As we've seen now, after 2 months of decline, it's gone up. And do you think that the MPC, when they meet, I think they have to meet in November, when they meet in November, do you think that they will still consider to tighten when everyone is saying the real sector guys are already crying, saying, our loans, the figures are growing higher?
Yeah, taking your first question, you know, as a business concern and as an SBU, when you look at your figures and you see that your figures are not looking not going to the direction you want to look at the cost, you want to look at your revenue, you want to look at some other things, maybe the size of your market and who your competitors are. Now, the essence of bringing in this is the fact that if our inflation rate continues to go high, and we want to really achieve reduction of inflation rate, we need to look at the major drivers of inflation rate and take them one after the other and head on. So if we take them one after the other and head on, then we'll be able to see the outcome of the efforts we are making towards reducing inflation rate. But it looks like we are just watching to watch the movement of inflation. Anywhere it goes, we follow. Anywhere it goes, we follow. We need to be deliberate about bringing it down, because if it comes down, a lot of other things are going to fall in play. And so that's what we need to do. So let us look at all the drivers of inflation rate and look at them and deal with them head on in order for us to work towards bringing it down. And on whether the monetary policy is going to tighten more or going to ease up, the last one I had predicted that we should be able to hold at least the monetary policy to its rate in the past. But again, that marginal increase happened, and which obviously I said will not have so much impact on rates. Today, interest rates are very high, but I also mentioned, and I mentioned to a few people, that although interest rates are high, they are going to start dropping. They are going to drop because of the inflow of funds in recapitalization of banks. So that inflow coming from outside, coming from within, recapitalization of banks. So banks are going to have are going to be awash with some funds, and so if they have funds, nobody's going to be asking them for deposits, and they're not going to be asking people for deposits. So that is why the rates are beginning to look low right now, and so that's for deposit rates. We expect that borrowing rates should also, lending rates should be able to come down as deposit rates are coming down, beginning to come down right now. So these are, we expect that either the rates should be, the MPR should just be kept stable. Let us even watch the impact of what we have already done. Since we want to stimulate the market. If we want to stimulate the market, then we need to actually keep it where it is, or we'll start reducing the MPR by now.
I must thank you so much. It's good to really sit with you here and have this discussion. Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, there he's the MD CEO, Dignity Finance and Investment Limited. Thank you so much, and do enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much, Tolu, and enjoy your stay in Abuja. I hope you're having enough fun.
I'm trying